all of our put that information up, but thank you for all the artists who are participating and everybody that's put it together. It's definitely a lot of labor of love. All right, so those are my two that I had added to it. All right, perfect. Moving on to public comment. And the script reads, rules for public comment. The mayor and council, city council invite you and welcome comments of the public at public meetings. The mayor or presiding officers will recognize you. Please introduce yourself first, last name, for recording purposes, and give the name of your street and block number, IG 4300 block of 34th Street. Please indicate in the chat whether you like the mayor to read your comment or you will speak on your comment. Please remember it's either one or the other, not both. Public comments has a time limit of 3 minutes per speaker, unless otherwise agreed upon the mayor. While speaking, please maintain a courteous tone and avoid personal attacks. If you wish to lodge a complaint about a performance or conduct of any city employee or department, please bring your concerns to the attention of the city manager, who will look into the matter and respond to you. As a courtesy to other residents and businesses, the council requests a speaker not use a specific address or names of individual when describing a situation or making a complaint, noting the block is preferred over in a specific address. So we do ask our wonderful residents to follow the rules of public comment, because I'm not a fan of having to stop you speaking. But if you are not following the rules, I have to in order to be fair for everyone. Okay, so at this moment, we are gonna open the floor for public comment, but before that, open studio tour is May 10 from 12 to 5 p.m. All right, just as a note, because I was gonna get back to you guys on that. All right, so we have open public comment at this point. If you would like to speak, go ahead and put your name, last name, block number, street number on the chat, and we'll go ahead and call upon you. If you need me to read a message, please let me know as well. In the meantime, Jared with a D, is there any comments on Facebook? All right, perfect. I'm gonna wait a little bit of time because I don't see nothing here yet. In order to figure out whether we have any comments tonight. All right. It is 7:10. All right. All right, seeing that there's no public comment, I'll be closing public comment at this point, and I'm going to move on to new businesses. We will be having item number 5, first reading of resolution number 01-2025, the establishment of the Mount Rainier Community Garden Committee. The mayor and council will have the first reading of the resolution 01-2025, establishing the Mount Rainier Community Garden Committee. And Councilmember Woodall will be reading the resolution. This resolution was also presented to us during the last work session. Thank you for that, because I think following procedure is very important. So that way we as council and the community have at least a visualization of what is coming in order to be best informed and, and make sure that we vote properly. So Valerie, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So this is a resolution number 101-2025, introduced by myself, the establishment of the Mount Rainier Community Garden Committee, whereas section 402, number 6 of the city code states that the mayor and council have the authority to create committees and appoint citizens to those committees. And whereas section 402, number 36 of the city code states that the mayor and council have the authority to establish and maintain gardens. And whereas the Mount Rainier Community Garden was initially established in 2013 on 31st Street between Wyndham Road and Rundle Road, but the Mount Rainier Community Garden Committee was not formally established. And whereas the mayor and council recognize the need to maintain and support the Mount Rainier Community Garden to improve the quality of life for Mount Rainier residents. And now therefore be it resolved that the Mount Rainier Community Garden is established as an official committee of the city of Mount Rainier. Now, therefore, be it resolved, each fiscal year, the city manager's proposed budget shall include funding for the committee to maintain, promote, and develop the garden. The committee shall be composed of 5 members who are appointed for 2-year terms by the mayor and council and serve at their pleasure. Should the committee fall below full membership, the city manager shall immediately recruit applicants to fill the vacancy and recommend appointees to the mayor and council. The provisions of this resolution shall supersede any rules, procedures, or resolutions previously approved by the mayor and council of Mount Rainier.
Thank you so much. I'll go around, but Valerie, are you open to a proposal where it says garden is singular? Will you be open to adding a parenthesis and S in case in the future more than one city garden, one more community city garden is added, so that way is projected to whatever the future comes instead of having it a singular in case something changes in the future.
So I would generally support something like that, but this one specifically states where this garden is located in the resolution. So we would have to go back to a work session to hash that out.
Okay. I withdraw my suggestion then. Okay. All right. So Luke, anything to add?
No, I appreciate Valerie, you putting this together, making sure this is codified here so we have it for future purposes.
Jared?
Share Luke's sentiment. Thank you, Val.
Oh, you cut off your mic super fast, Jared. But that was quick. Danielle?
Yeah, no, really, thanks for doing this. I really thought we had a resolution, so thanks for finding we didn't, and doing the work. Appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you, Valerie. I think this is definitely working on the efforts to make sure that we start building strong infrastructure, that are documents supporting each of our committees. So I know you digged and asked other key people to let you know if this was available. But I think that having this resolution definitely will help moving forward. Okay, so this is the first reading. I don't see any comments from anybody here. All right, so it's a first reading, and we'll move up to the second reading. So thank you, Valerie, for that. I have nothing else to add. Same sentiment. Thank you for putting this together and for the work that you're doing to make sure the spaces are, very professional and infrastructure is set up so that way our team also has these documents as they move forward. Okay. And thank you to the Garden Committee members who have been serving this capacity for quite a few times. It's really appreciated. All right, moving on to item number 6, vote on approval of minutes. The Mayor and Council will vote on approving the following minutes: February 18, 2025 work session, March 4, 2025 legislative meeting. Okay, can I have a motion on the floor? These minutes were presented in other work sessions or presented to us in previous meetings. So this is not the new documents whatsoever that we have not seen before. So motion on the floor to approve February 18 work session minutes and March 4 legislative meeting minutes. Can I have a second?
Second.
It's been probably moved and second. Discussion? Objection, abstentions? Hearing none, the minutes have been approved. Thank you, Millie, for making sure that we have down to the latest minutes approved and in record as well. Now we have item number 7, presentation of minutes. The city clerk will present the March 18 work session, the March 22nd public hearing, and proposed FY26 budget work session. Minutes to the mayor and council. It is in your package. So any feedback you have towards the city clerk, please send them her way. Okay. All right. Moving on to item number 8, adjournment of this meeting. Can I have a motion and a second? Moved by Valerie Woodall.
Second.
And second by Jared. Jared, you're shutting off of the mic. It's like key today.
Sorry.
You're fast.
Sorry about that. Second.
You're like second. It's okay. All right. Probably more than second. Any discussion? Objections, abstentions? Hearing none. This meeting has come to an end. And we move on to our second meeting for tonight. So this is the agenda for proposed FY26 budget legislative meeting of the Mayor and City Council for Mount Rainier. This is a virtual meeting for today, Tuesday, April 1st, following the legislative meeting. Item for discussion number 1, roll call. Valerie Woodall.
Here.
Jerry Stoffes.
Here.
Danielle Carr.
Here.
Luke Chesick.
Here.
I see you. Okay, all right. So we have a full quorum. We are moving on to item number 2, review of the agenda. Go ahead, Valerie. Can you
Yep.
move it up just a little bit, Millie? Go ahead.
The agenda of the proposed FY26 budget legislative meeting of the mayor and council, Tuesday, April 1st. 1, call to order. 2, review of the agenda. The mayor and council will review the agenda for the meeting, adding or deleting topics of interest or discussion. 3, discussion of proposed fiscal year 2026 budget. The mayor and council will have a discussion on the proposed FY 2026 budget. 4, reading of ordinance number 225, an ordinance establishing the tax rate adopting an annual budget and appropriating funds for fiscal year 2026 beginning July 1, 2025 and ending June 30, 2026. The mayor and council will have the first reading of ordinance number 02, 2025. 5, public comment. 6, adjournment.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much. So the agenda has been reviewed. We're going to be moving on to item number 3, discussion on proposed fiscal year 2026 budget. The mayor and council will have discussion on the proposed FY 2026 budget. So, Mr. Kamali, I'm ceding the floor to you. And let me know if you need me to cede the floor to anybody else aside from you.
Thank you, Mayor. Definitely, I'm gonna have Ron to go over the changes after we had the meeting on March 22nd. Based on Mayor and Council requests, we made the changes, and as you see it on the screen. So Ron, if you don't mind, please go through the changes and let them know what's going on. Just want to let you know one thing, that we did not incorporate the changes to the dispatch in the police department, because right now Chief and I talking and negotiating with Hyattsville, because we're not expecting to have these changes in FY26 because they notify us too late and our budget is ready to go. So we are looking other options at the same time. But right now in FY26, the dispatch is going to stay as the way it is, $90,000, and we will cross that bridge when we come to it.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Kamali. So I have Ron Wilson. You only had the name Ron, so I wasn't sure which of the Ron was it.
Yeah,
But Ron
yes, that's
Wilson
me.
Ron Wilson
Yes.
is on the line. Go ahead, Ron, and walk us through this document that we see on the screen.
Okay, so most of the changes that were made to the budget were what was discussed. I'm sorry about that.
Michigan Circle Tour.
Sorry about that background noise. Most of the changes were discussed by the council in our meeting on March 22nd, but there were a couple of other things that Mr. Kamali and I dug into more deeply and made some changes as well. The first one is for the unemployment insurance. Our formula for calculating that had been corrupted and gave us some numbers that were way too big. So we corrected that formula, and that resulted in a $20,000 savings on the budget. The next change was the city-sponsored meetings in the mayor and council department. As discussed on the 22nd, we reduced that to 0 from the original 5,500. Next, Mr. Kamali and I also fine-tuned the professional services budget, and that resulted in a $10,540 savings on the budget. The next item, as discussed on the 22nd, we reduced the veterans long-term resident
Ron,
tax
can you do
credit.
me a favor? Can you read the line item number so we can follow closer with
Sure.
you? Because I want to
Sure.
make sure that it's as people are hearing it, they also could hear the number to make it a little bit easier for all of us, okay?
Sure, can
Thank
do.
you.
So line 5512, the veterans long-term resident tax credit, as discussed in the meeting on the 22nd, we were able to reduce that by $5,000 based on our past experience. Line 5558, Community Development Court Gateway. In our original budget proposal, we had that for 0. And as a result of the discussion on the 22nd, we have added 30,000 to that line item. Line 5545, scholarship programs. We originally had 7,000 in the budget proposal, and as a result of the discussion on the 22nd, we've increased that to 14. Line 5548, immigration outreach. That had an original proposal of 1,000, and again, as a result of the discussion on the 22nd, we've added 500 to make that 1,500 for the new budget proposal. Line 5648, the Police Advisory Board. Originally, we had 3,000 in the budget proposal, and as a result of the discussion on the 22nd, we decided to make that $500 for a savings of $2,500. All of those net changes to the budget have resulted in line 5598 contingency increasing by $6,558. And that's the summary of all of the changes between the version that was presented to the council on March 22nd and the version that was included in your packet today.
Okay, thank you so much. I do want to share something as a point of information that MOU for the gateway is like $0 to $25,000, so we're overshooting by $5,000. So I definitely want to make sure the council is aware of that. I did share, I believe, the MOU with Mr. Kamali, right? We could share with the rest of the team, but that is basically what the commitment was. So I want to make sure that we're not overshooting it more than we had agreed originally when we signed the contract with all the various cities, but it's between 0 and 25,000, not 30,000. So I'd like for us to reconsider keeping it within what the MOU is in order to make sure we honor, and also wanted to make sure that something is clear. We have honored our 3-year commitment because I wanted to make sure that that is clear from the last conversation. It has been honored. We have not like default on it because I think there was a little bit of some residents were asking us like, no, we followed through our 3-year commitment. We didn't founder on that one. This is additional money that we're referring to. Okay, so but I have no problem sharing the MOU with the rest of you guys. But it was between 0 and 25,000. That is what was agreed upon it. Okay, so I feel more comfortable staying at 25 than at 30. But that's something that I want to make sure that we don't overshoot. So, and the other thing is like I do need to still talk to and Mr. Kamali will probably talk to the city managers of those cities, and I'll talk to the mayors of it to figure out what their commitment's going to be, to figure out where they're at. But like I said, I think that the MOU stated at 25, so I want to make sure we stay within. If that's the top tier of the commitment, then I want to make sure that we stay within that. But that's my suggestion to you guys. Again, this is more of a discussion. Nothing has been finalized on the budget. We're continuing conversations. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna go through the rest of the team to figure out where you guys are at with stuff. Okay, Jerry, I'm gonna go first with you.
Sorry, Selena, I think you cut out. Can you repeat what you said?
Which part did I cut out? What was the last thing you heard?
I like about 10 seconds before. I'm sorry, I'm having some.
I think I called you. Oh, I think the last thing I said is like if the commitment was for the MOU to be no more than 25,000, like for us to stay within that commitment, not so the change I'm only gonna ask is like instead of 30 to be 25. But I was calling you to be first on deck to speak. I apologize if that was cut off. I'm getting like my phone.
Sorry, regarding the gateway or this?
In general, the gateway or anything that has to do with the document in front.
Yeah. This reflects the changes that we discussed, and I appreciate Mr. Kamali and Ron for taking those into account. I mean, on the last bit, I'm supportive of maintaining and additional support to Gateway, given Gateway's role in economic development, and continuing the work that we've carried out. So.
Thank you, Jared. Valerie?
Yeah, thank you. I think overall this reflects our discussion. So thank you, Mr. Kamali and Ron, for putting this together. I do want to say for the Gateway CDC, I think we have to be careful. There's three things at play. First, Mount Rainier did give the most out of the three municipalities between Mount Rainier, Brentwood, and North Brentwood initially. We all committed to give a certain amount based on population. We gave the first amount the first year, split into two payments, and then gave the second year. So that is absolutely true that we've committed and we've been committed and we've continued to commit to this. That's the first thing. Second, I do think it's important that we build that muscle memory of our municipalities supporting this important nonprofit, because it does work throughout the corridor. And I think that's quite important to continue funding it for its operations specifically. The $25,000 is that you're referencing is for the management plan of the Gateway Arts District as a whole. That's different from the Gateway CDC funding. That is for the Gateway Arts District, which goes all the way to Hyattsville. The Gateway CDC is taking on that role of managing that plan. So that's a separate 25,000, 0 to 25,000. And I don't think that any other municipality right now is committing to giving funding to the management of the plan. I think that's the discussion we still have to have. But the funding that I was hoping to add into the budget is for the Gateway CDC itself, the operations of the organization itself, not for any of the projects or programs it might manage, like, for example, the management plan of the Arts District. And so that's just what I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Valerie. Danielle, Luke?
Yes, thank you. Point of clarity from Valerie. So your recommendation of the 30,000 is for just the regular operations. You can just nod or shake your head. Because I'm a huge supporter of the Gateway and what they do. So if Valerie suggested 30,000 for that, separate from the understanding of the 25,000, then I'm actually in favor of the 30,000 over the 25, but whatever the others as far as consensus is concerned. But I agree with Valerie on that.
Okay, go ahead, Luke.
And I'll have a question here for Valerie. Valerie, would Gateway be I know Gateway would always want more money, but is 25,000 doable for them? Is that a good step? And would that at least that would serve the purpose of creating that muscle memory in the budget of having that line item for the Gateway CDC. Was there any sort of like analysis done on why the 30 grand would be more important as opposed to like 25 grand?
No, we're just hoping to, sorry, Selena, can I respond?
Ooh, go ahead, Valerie. My apologies. I thought my mic was muted. It was actually open. Go ahead.
Thanks, Luke. I think 25,000 or 30,000, it's a drop in the bucket for the municipality. This municipality but at the same point, I think more is better, just because you have to retain staff. And if we don't retain staff at the Gateway CDC, it can't operate the management plan that would, it can't do anything. It can't do the Open Studios tour. It can't do the Gateway Media Arts Lab. It can't do fundraising. So that's the reason to put more in if we can. I understand this is a tight budget year. No matter what we do, we still have to deal with the management plan side of this and the MOU between the four municipalities and deciding what people are giving into that, but that can be a later discussion point.
And then, Mayor, for you, was there, throwing out the $25,000, was there a place where you wanted to put that $5,000 that would come away from the Gateway CDC line item?
So the idea was that if we decide to support the planet specifically, some of the money could go there. So they're specifically focused for that. my other concern is like, and maybe Mr. Kamali could answer this question for me. What is it that Gateway did Gateway requested the 25, and what is it that they asked? What is it that they said they were going to be doing with those $30,000 or $25,000?
Well, the request came not from CDC. Valerie and I were talking, and we were looking at the past that we gave them 50,000, and then Valerie wanted to do 45. So I was trying to go down to 30,000, and no, we haven't received anything that. Mainly, they're going to support the operation, as Valerie said. So. And if we're not giving that 5,000 to them, I like to keep the 5,000 for anything that could happen in the future regarding the dispatch. Otherwise, but I think Valerie was asking me to look at 45,000, and I was not able to do it. Even last Saturday, I said maybe we could go with 30, but it's up all to you guys. I don't know.
Okay, thank you for that answer, Mr. Kamali. So hopefully that answers some of it that you have, Luke. My biggest concern, honestly, guys, is the fact that Paul costs a lot of money. We still have to figure out like the roof in the police department and what dispatch is going to be. That is our 3 big ticket items, and I am concerned, to be honest with you. So I would like for us to like tread lightly and a little bit more conservative. Remember, it's not, we're not giving them 0. We have given them 100,000, and on June we're going to give them another 50,000, so it'll be 150,000, right? And then by, I guess, whatever time frame is after that, it's going to be another 25 to 30,000. So that will put us at $180,000 in this time frame. So it's not little money. It's been a big equipment, but there's something that I need to make sure if we are like, funding, things like open studios, right? I definitely would like to see the logo of the city of Rainier sponsors and anything that has to do with Gateway, to make sure people realize that we are giving money, because if not, it makes it seem like we are not supporting our artists. And that is quite a bit of money to give to support. So I think that we could put something in the budget about it, but also talk about what else is it that we're asking that comes along with the money. Because if not, there's not a connect between the community being aware of how we're helping this organization, aside from giving money. And Luke, I'm sorry, I think you were still like in your thought of a question. So go ahead.
No, I would just ask, maybe we do a round 2 to go around, because I'd love to see if we could get consensus on this before ending tonight.
Okay, perfect. So I already gave my thoughts. I'll go ahead and open it for a second round. Be aware that we have 2 minutes each. And before I say anything, Melly, how much time we have on the clock for this item? So if we need to add time, I could go ahead and add it now.
Mayor, we don't have a specific time since it's budget discussion.
All right, thank you so much. But keep us on track, Melly, because if not, it's going to be like 10 o'clock at night and we're talking about this. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go a second round again with council. Let's try to stick to 2 minutes. And if we need to go to a third time, it's 1 minute. Those are like the council rules. And I know budget goes on for a long time, so let's be aware of that, okay? All right, so I'm going to go around a second time. Valerie, you're it, because I think you might have the answers that we need.
Thank you. So first, I just want to make sure that we're clear that Gateway CDC did submit everything that they were supposed to submit on time in December before for the budget. It just wasn't included in the budget, first. And second of all, they have been sending their financial reviews. They've been presenting every year at the city council members, at the city council's request. And they are managing a lot of various resources that are coming into the district. For example, I was just talking with the CDC about potentially going after grant funding to support the community garden, which is something that we know we need to do. But in order to do that, we would need staff for that. And they recently were awarded $400,000 to help Joe's Movement Emporium finally finish their stormwater work at that building. So this is something that the CDC can do for Mount Rainier, bring resources into the city. I guess my only question right now is that if we're going down to $25,000, are we going to then put $5,000 into the Gateway Arts District Management Plan specifically? Or is it just going to come out? Because those are separate things. One is for the operations of the organization and one is for the larger management plan. And I don't think we have any money in the budget at all right now for that. And I think that's what Brentwood and North Brentwood are doing. They're not actually putting money into the management plan aspect of this yet. So I just wonder if we're putting 30,000 into Gateway CDC, if we should take 5,000 and say this is going directly to the management plan instead of to paying for any staff.
Thank you, Valerie. Oof, sorry. Oh yeah, I'm open. Thank you, Valerie. Jared, Danielle, Luke.
I just echo my earlier comments, no changes.
Thank you, Jared. Danielle?
Valerie, I'm still for the 30,000. If others want to take the 5,000 out to make it 25 to give to them now and then put 5,000 to the management, I'm fine. But I like the idea. I mean, you gave, you conceded a lot. You conceded 15,000 from 45 to 30. So I have no problem with 30,000. And if you think that 5 or Mr. Kamali, 5 go to the management and 25 stay with operations, I'm fine with that. But I like the round number of 30. So I haven't changed there.
Okay. And just to remember, it was $0 on the budget and it went up to 30. So we have like gone up from 0 to 30. All right, Luke, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's important to reiterate a point Valerie made earlier, which is that the Gateway did put in their budget request in December for the 45. So that request was out there originally. I think that $5,000 doesn't make a big difference. Whether it's contingency, whether it's in here, it really is not going to like break the bank because there's going to be money that we will save from staff vacancies that will exist throughout the fiscal year. So I think in general, it's probably not a big deal. I do like the idea of having a line item that would be like Community Develop Corp, Gateway Arts District Management Program, whatever. I think, Valerie, you could probably come up with language, but I think it took a couple minutes for Valerie to explain the difference between Gateway CDC Operating Fund and the management of the Gateway Arts District, which includes Hyattsville. And I think that's an important distinction. And we can always, I'm open. I think we should put something in a line item to support the management. And I'm really open to it being $1,000 or $5,000, but just something so that's in the line item for the council to revisit throughout the year. Because if in order to manage the Gateway Arts District, we will need to revisit that during this coming fiscal year at some point in time, I think it will be helpful that there's already a line item in the budget to revisit. And I think it will help future councils to have to deal with that in future budgeting cycles. Because it sounds like we really need to support the Gateway CDC in its operations, like its rent and plumbing and whatever it has to deal with, staffing, like that seems to make sense to me. It seems like there is a decision TBD on the level at which the municipalities support the management of the arts district as a whole. Am I using the term correctly, Valerie? Arts district? Yeah. And so I think it would be smart to have a line item in the budget with some de minimis funding. I don't want to say like $1,000 or $5,000 is de minimis, but on the scope of a $9 million budget, I think it is. I think it would be smart to have that there so that it's a forcing mechanism for the conversation either during next budget cycle or next year when you have to bring it up. So long-winded way of saying my proposal would be the Community Development Corp Gateway 30,000 and then a line item for the management of the Gateway Arts District at like $5,000. Because it sounds like if we need that $5,000 later in the year for something, we can pull from it because we don't have a specific, it's not like it's going to get spent right away. And so you could make that budget amendment. But I'm guessing that you'll we'll make a budget amendment drawing funds from unused salary staff. And you've got a big contingency here at $110,000. So I think that's helpful as well. So that would be my proposal, as long as that wouldn't create a requirement to somehow represent the budget. As long as that doesn't change our budget timeline, that's my proposal. Thanks.
Thank you, Luke. I will tell you guys that I'm definitely not like supporting 30,000 plus another 5,000, and I'll tell you why. Because the plan was for
Not
us
30
to
plus 5,
keep-
not 30 plus 5, 25.
Luke, let
Yeah.
me finish. You just said $30,000 plus add another line item for another
Nope, I did not.
5,000.
No, I did not.
Okay,
I
then
meant
go ahead and
25.
clarify it. Go ahead and
Yes.
clarify it, but you cannot go
So-
back and forth. Remember, because if I have told other council members they can do
Yep.
that, I need to make sure that that is clear. Because
So was-
that's what at least I heard. So you
Sorry,
please
that is-
clarify it to make sure it's fine. Go ahead.
Nope, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I'm proposing what I think Valerie said, which was if we drop down to 25, let's have 5 for the line item for the management. It would be my proposal.
I'm fine with that. Thank you for clarifying because I wasn't sure where it was going. But I will say to you guys that for me, why is it important to have money for the plan? Because the original proposal was that Gateway CDC was going to propose a plan how to be able to continue to grow without having the municipalities give money to continue like supporting it, right? So at this point, I definitely would like to see the plan of what it looks like. Because at this point, I have not heard yet what the commitment are for the other municipalities, but definitely should not continue to fall heavily on Mount Rainier. Because at the end of, what is it, 2 years? Is it 2 years or 3 years, Mr. Kamali? We're gonna giving $150,000. Thank
We
you.
have given them, so
Go ahead, Mr. Kamali, go
we
ahead. I
have
did ask you.
given them, Mayor, only $100,000. There is another 50,000 in FY 25 that we haven't received the request yet, and we're waiting for the financial report.
Okay, and that's supposed to be geared to give it to them in this fiscal year in June,
Yes,
right?
FY
So it is
25.
within this fiscal year. So that is my concern. And I hear what you guys are saying, like, they help Joe's Movement Emporium to be able to do this, but the message is not conveying to the community. The message was conveying that Gateway help Joe's to be able to do that, which is accurate, but it does not reflect on the fact that Mount Rainier gave the seed money to make sure that this is happening and helping them with that. So what I need is to make sure that the help that we're giving is also being reflected upon, like their partners, if they're like, helping them get grants or whatever it is. So that way they know that Mount Rainier, has been supported when it comes to the business district or the artist in itself. So that might be a conversation that, we might have to put in writing. But at this point, that's the part that I need to make sure that they know that this is like, now it's taxpayers' dollars, right, coming up, that we are supporting Gateway, and therefore they do that. So I'll give you an example, right, for the studios, the open studios, right? The logos of 3 organizations are there, but Mount Rainier's logo is not on it, right? So I think that after a certain point, I also need to make sure that with the money that we're giving, other caveats are added to make sure, our community also knows that we are helping them through allocating when it comes to money that is from a Rainier. So I need to make sure that as we move forward, that's also happening, because if not, there's a disconnect where people feel like we're not helping the artists, and giving, we're not helping the artists, but giving the artists the check, but we're definitely helping Gateway to make sure they're able to go after grants, so be able to do the open studio, so be able to do X, Y, and Z. So that is where I'm at. And this is the reason why I do feel like hopefully the other cities do contribute to the plan. So that way there is growth within there, because I feel like there is a balance organization, but I need to make sure that there's a plan to continue to grow and what it will look like when the organization self-sustain itself. Because if we continue to either staying or decreasing taxes, we're going to have to start cutting programs on our own and our end in order to be able to justify the needs, because at least $1.5 million we're going to have to borrow from a bank to pay Potts Hall. And that is just Potts Hall. And I know $5,000 is nothing, but 150,000 here, 30,000 here does that up. So, if you guys are open, we could do 25. and put 5,000 on a line item to make sure this plan's on it, pending obviously what the other city decides to do, because $5,000 is not gonna do much for Gateway if the other three cities put no money into it. But I think like we could have it there, and as the mayors are, going through their budgets, they'll be able to determine how much money, if any, they're gonna give to it. But that way, at least we're prepared in case they give something, we could potentially give something towards that aspect, But I do think a plan is important. But that's my thoughts on it. And if we haven't come to a consensus, we could always review this later. But I want to make sure that that's also put forward, because a plan, is required for us to figure out what it looks like when it comes to the future of Gateway and but definitely we need to talk about what else is our money getting us from it, and if it means that we have to add our City of Rainier sponsor to the various events that they're hosting, then that's something we need to have a conversation with them about in order to make sure it reflects what we're doing. I will ask you guys something in order to make sure, because I know we have focused only on this one item. You could guys put your thumbs up, but is there anything else within what Ron Wilson read that, are we okay with everything else? Or where are we? We okay? Because I could open the floor up if you have any comments about anything else in the how do you call it, in the document that he presented. Are we, Valerie, you're good? Jared, how are you doing? Good. Luke? You're good, Danielle? All right, so Mr. Kamali, I think the only point that we keep going back and forth is Gateway. The other ones look like they're good to move forward. As a process of, if you could tell us, like, what does the next steps look like? Because I think there's another budget review, and I'll tell you guys when it is. I'm sorry.
Next week, Mayor,
on Tuesday, April 8th.
Yeah, but this is the first reading tonight, and if we want to make that changes, it's gonna, put Ron and I have to go through everything and revise everything on. So somehow tonight is the first reading. I don't know how you guys want to proceed with the changes.
So I think that, and I see the mic open for you, Luke. I think that, Mr. Kamali, so far, everything else we're in agreement, right? I think it's just that between the 25 for 30, if we're gonna do 25 for Gateway up front and then 5 for something else, those are the two options. So I'm gonna open it one more. Luke, I see your mic open. Go ahead.
So, Mr. Kamali, we're not proposing to change the bottom line. The 5558 that says Community Development Corp Gateway, which is at 30,000, that would move down to 25,000. Then you would create a line item. I'm just making this up. 5559 Community Development Corporate, or I think you would call it Gateway Arts District Program Management, and then you would put 5,000 there. So the bottom line of everything wouldn't change. You would just create that extra line item. My specific question is, I think that's a small enough change in the budget that you don't have to redo the first reading. So I think we're okay.
Yeah.
But Melissa can correct if we're wrong there.
I think we're fine because we're discussing it, Luke, and because in 7 days, on it. But I think that you're 100% right. The bottom line doesn't change. The other items doesn't change. It's just going to split between 25 and 5. 25 and 5 instead of 30 in one line item. Go ahead, Valerie.
Thank you. So just because I think we could certainly create another line item, the Gateway Arts District Management Plan has gone from Hyattsville Corp CDC to Prince George Arts and Humanities Council over the years, as the Arts and Entertainment District has to report every year to the state in order to get the exemptions and the benefits of being an Arts and Entertainment District. But right now, the Gateway CDC is the entity that is managing that plan right now. And so if we are creating an extra line item for the Gateway Arts District, that's fine. But right now that money would be going to Gateway CDC to manage that part of the plan anyway. So I just wanted to see if we could just keep it as 30,000 when we distribute money, or if they invoice the city for funding, it would be required that they state that this is specifically for the management of the Arts and Entertainment District, so that we have our records clear, but that we don't have to change the line item that way. Thank you.
So, Valerie, I think the only reason why we wanted to make sure it's a different line item, so that was specifically goes for that. That means that we'll release the $25,000 and the other $5,000 will be kept there pending, what the outcome is from the other 3 cities when it comes to putting any funding on that, right? Because at this point, they could get $1, $0, or 25. It is one of those things. So I think that's the reason why the compromise to put 5,000 there in case, we need to contribute to that fund is there separately. So at the end of the day, at the end of the day, if they're able to do that, 30,000 will go to them, but at least we will have it separately to make sure it's specifically focused on the plan itself. What's it called? Sorry. Danielle Jarrett.
Yeah, I see what Valerie is saying. I mean, it's 6 one way, half dozen the other. Money's still going to the same place. I mean, if they invoice it separately, and if we leave it as it is, then nothing changes. Mr. Kamali doesn't have to worry about, making sure that everything is we don't have to do changes and do yet another first reading. I mean, just for the ease of everything, the money is still going to the same place. As long as Mr. Kamali and the finance department knows that, when Gateway bills, 5,000 is for management, 25,000 is for operations, then, at the back end, that's the most important thing. So, I mean, for the ease of everything, I think we should just leave it alone and 30,000 to go.
So to clarify, it's not going to need a whole full new first reading if it's decided today, because you're not changing the bottom line. So this is not adding more money to a line item, it's splitting a line item. So I want to make sure that is clear. So it does not need a whole first writing. If you guys want to leave it alone, then Mr. Kamali will be authorized to release 25 and then leave 5,000, pending, based it on what the other municipalities decide to do, whether or not they're going to focus on that this year or not. That is the differential. So Luke, before I go to you, I'm going to go to Jared.
I mean, I feel like if it doesn't, I feel like, I think I concur with what Daniel said. I don't know that this feels like splitting hairs to me, but in the approach that we do it, but yeah.
Thank you, Jared. Luke, you still have your hands up?
Yeah, I was just going to reiterate. The other reason why it doesn't require the first reading is I think the change has to be, it's either more than $20,000 or % of the budgets. This is nowhere close to that. So that's a reason why it's another reason why we don't have to worry about the first reading, Danielle. And I was just trying to seek a compromise. So if there's an easier, simpler way and I'm overcomplicating things, that's fine as well. Valerie, I would be interested to know your take here, because I was kind of basing my compromise under how I understood things to work. And so would just appreciate your take here.
Go ahead, Valerie.
Thank you. I think, okay, let's create another line item, 5,000 for the Gateway Arts District Management Plan. That at least gives us a future function for funding that, because that is actually a project that needs management and time. And then 25,000 to Gateway Community Development Corporation for operations. I'm fine with that. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Valerie. I just want to make sure that we have the line item, and I think this will be a good compromise. So you heard, well, and definitely your opinion does matter a lot, Valerie, because you're a point person for the organization. Okay, so you heard the last thing Valerie said. Are we good with 25 and 5? Good, Luke? Okay. All right, Mr. Kamali. Jared, you're good? You're the only one I didn't see hands up. Okay, good. So Mr. Kamali, is it clear? Thank you, guys. I know we sometimes talk things through over, but it's better to talk it through than, we need to get somewhere. All right. So I'm going to ask this one last time to make sure it's officially on the record. With everything else Ron Wilson presented, we're good with only that the Gateway distinction of 25 and 5, correct? Thumbs up? Yes, Danielle, I see you. Valerie, I see you. Luke? Good. Jared? Good. Okay, so we have reached majority on this. Okay, Mr. Kamali. So
Mayor, can I say something? Can I just
go ahead,
call it
Mr. Kamali.
55A, just, the line item to
Wait.
be,
Hold on, Mr. Kamali. Can you put it on the screen, Melissa, so we know what? Sorry, Mr. Kamali. I need to visually see it to know what you're talking about.
it's the
Okay.
line item 5558. I'm
Go
just
ahead.
gonna call another line item below that in the City Hall department, because this is in the City Hall, 5558A. That is part of that line item. So is it okay if I just put the letter A to the next, line item that I'm creating?
Mr. Kamali, that's an administrative function. Whatever works for you guys and the auditors and finance, that'll be fine with
It
us.
works for us. It
Okay.
does work. Thank you.
Perfect. So you're the one, just like when you present the change on Tuesday, let us know what the highlight of the change is. That's about it. But the administrative organization of this budget, one, definitely we need to make sure we know how to interpret and read it. Same thing goes with the community, right? But the ones that are going to be held accountable, aside from us, when it comes to the audits, is going to be you guys. So if that adding a letter is procedure administrative for it to be fine, then it's fine. Okay. So we're good with that.
Thank
Perfect.
you.
Anything else, Mr. Kamali or Ron? We're good?
Yeah, we're good. And we're going to have another meeting next week. Hopefully everything goes through, and then we're going to be ready to approve the budget. You guys be approve it in May, hopefully in April. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kamali. Ron, and as well as the whole entire team that has been working from committees to staff to directors to heavily finance and our city manager. They work on this budget basically the minute July 1st hit. They're already starting to work on the budget to answer the audit and work on what needs to happen to reveal some of the stuff around us that they're also receiving requests in December. All right, and Valerie, thank you so much for following through and helping us clarify some stuff. I appreciate it as well. All right, moving on to item number 5, public comment. At this point, Melly, can you go
Mayor,
ahead
you
and
skipped
put
number
down-
4.
What's number 4?
Reading
the
of the
ordinance.
ordinance.
So close, Melly, so close. Item number 4, reading of ordinance number 02-2025, an order establishing the tax rate, adopting an annual budget, and appropriating funds for fiscal year 2026, beginning July 1st, 2025, and ending July 30, 2026. The Mayor and Council will have the first reading of ordinance number 02-2025. Go ahead and put it on screen. Why does this? Okay, there it is. I was like, why do it look so weird? All right. Valerie, are you hydrated enough to read this document?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, let me know if you need a pause. I'll step in. All right, go ahead.
All right, City of Mount Rainier, Maryland, ordinance number 2/2025. Introduced by Mayor and City Council, an ordinance establishing the tax rate, adopting an annual budget, and appropriating funds for the fiscal year 2026, beginning July 1, 2025, and ending June 30, 2026. Whereas in accordance with Section 6-303 of the Tax Property Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland, by July 15th of each year, the Council of the City of Mount Rainier shall set the tax rate for the next fiscal year on all assessments of property subject to municipal corporation property tax, and whereas a public hearing must be held prior to the establishment of the municipal corporation tax rate if the new tax rate will exceed the previous year tax rate as calculated by the State of Maryland Department of Assessments and Taxation. And whereas the proposed tax rate for some property classifications for fiscal year 2026 will will extend the blended constant yield tax rate of 76 cents per $100 of assessed valuation. And whereas pursuant to the City of Mount Rainier's Charter, Section 702.A, the city manager submitted a recommended budget for fiscal year 2026 to the council for its review and consideration. And whereas the budget provides a complete financial plan for fiscal year 2026 and contains estimates of anticipated revenue and proposed expenditures for the coming fiscal year. And whereas the City of Mount Rainier Charter Section 702.b requires the council to conduct a public hearing on the proposed budget prior to the adoption of the budget. And whereas the council held a public hearing on tax rate and to receive comments on the proposed fiscal year budget and tax on March 22nd, 2025. And whereas after considering the recommended fiscal year 2026 budget submitted by the city manager and the comments that were made at the public hearing on the budget and tax rate, the council adopts the budget and tax rates as set forth in this ordinance. Now therefore be it ordained by the council of the city of Mount Rainier, Maryland, on this day of 2025 as follows. Section 1, tax rate, real property. The tax rate for all single-family residential real property subject to taxation by the city of Mount Rainier shall be 75 cents per $100 of assessed valuation for fiscal year 2026, beginning July 1, 2025, and ending June 30, 2026. The tax rate for all townhouse residential property subject to taxation by the city of Mount Rainier shall be 75 cents per $100 of assessed valuation for fiscal year 2026, beginning July 1, 2025, and ending June 30, 2026. The tax rate for all multifamily residential real property subject to taxation by the city of Mount Rainier shall be 86 cents per $100 of assessed valuation for fiscal year 2026, beginning July 1, 2025, and ending June 30, 2026. The tax rate for all commercial real property subject to taxation by the city of Mount Rainier shall be 79 cents per $100 of assessed valuation for fiscal year 2026, beginning July 1, 2025, and ending June 30, 2026. The tax rate for all industrial real property subject to taxation by the city of Mount Rainier shall be 79 cents per $100 of assessed valuation for fiscal year 26, beginning July 1, 2025, and ending June 30, 2026. The tax rate for all vacant developed property subject to taxation by the city of Mount Rainier shall be $2.50 per $100 of assessed valuation for fiscal year 2026, beginning July 1, 2025, and ending June 30, 2026. Section 2. Tax rate, real business personal property. The tax rate for all business personal property subject to taxation by the city of Mount Rainier shall be 99 cents per $100 of assessed valuation for fiscal year 2026, beginning July 1 and ending July 1, 2025, and ending June 30, 2026. Section 3, tax rate, the operating property of railroads and public utilities. The tax rate for all operating properties of railroads and public utilities subject to taxation by the city of Mount Rainier shall be $2.75 per $100 of assessed valuation for fiscal year 2026, beginning July 1 and ending June 30, 2026. Section 4, general fund revenues. The following amounts shall be adopted and appropriated as general fund budget for all revenue for fiscal year 26, beginning July 1, 2025, and ending June 30, 2026. Tax revenue, $6,680,021.57. License and permit, $622,900. Intergovernment revenue, $609,418.76. Charges for services, $26,200. Fines and forfeitures, $837,500. Miscellaneous, $208,500. Grants, $2,696,800. Total budgeted revenue, $11,681,340.33. Section 5, general fund expenditures categories. The following amounts shall be adopted and appropriated as the general fund budget for all expenditure categories for fiscal year 2026, beginning July 1, 2025, and ending June 30, 2026. Wages and leave pay, $3,605,202.94. Employee benefits and services, $2,128,331.61. Materials and supplies, $265,700. Repairs and maintenance, $139,300. Professional services, $874,558.21. Other services and charges, $389,102.35. Community activities, $217,650. Infrastructure and facility maintenance, $933,600. Capital outlay, capital project, $195,000. Debt services, $236,095.22. Grant expense, $2,696,800. Total budgeted expenditures, $11,681,340.33. Section 6, general fund expenditure categories by department. The following amounts shall be adopted and appropriated as the general fund budget for all expenditure categories by department for fiscal year 26, beginning July 1, 2025, and ending June 30, 2026. City governance, $72,702.50. City Hall, $3,734,606.41. Administrative Services Department, $738,396.80. Code Compliance Department, $520,153.74. Economic Development Department, $351,320.59. Police Department, $3,857,731.83. Public Works Department, $2 million, $60,150.88. Debt services, $236,095.22. Contingency, $110,182.35. Total budgeted department expenditures, $11,681,340.33. Total full-time equivalent employees, FTEs, for each department are as follows. City Hall, FY 26, 3. Administrative Services, 5. Code Compliance, 4. Economic Development, 1. Police Department, 23. Public Works, 10. Total budgeted FTEs, full-time employees, 46. And this
Okay.
order.
Go ahead.
We're good.
Melly, can you go all the way down? She needs to just read the tagline, even if I'll read it. That said, this ordinance is adopted by the Council of the City of Rainier on this X day of X 2025 and is effective on July 1st, 2025. And there's the signatures that need to happen. All right. So you guys have heard. Thank you, Valerie, so much. For Tuesday, we're going to alternate you with someone else. All right, all the way to the top. So this is the introduction and first reading, Melly? Yes? And so this
Yes,
introduction
Mayor.
and thank you so much, Mr. Kamali. This introduction and first reading of Ordinance 02-2025 and is an ordinance establishing the tax rate, adopting the annual budget and appropriation funds for fiscal year 2026, beginning July 1st, 2025 and ending July 30, 2026 that you just heard read line by line by Councilmember Woodall. All right. So Council, any questions regarding this ordinance? If not, thumbs up. We're good. We're good. Is full everybody's fine with the document that was presented in front of us. Mr. Kamali, anything else to add, or you're good since you are the city manager? Go ahead.
We're good, Mayor, and hopefully we'll see you guys next Tuesday. And we're trying to get this one approved as soon as possible.
Okay, so this is so good, so you guys could move it out to next Tuesday. There has been no changes to it. Even the changes that we had was within the same line item, so nothing has changed from this document that you see in front of you. And we are on track and have followed all the rules and procedures that have set before us. Sometimes people don't realize that we have to publish this information on X amount of days, through X amount of mediums in order to make sure we are in compliance. And the city has done that beautifully. So we are in full compliance with the requirements we need to make sure that we're moving towards the direction of approving this budget. All right. Seeing that the whole council is in agreement on this reading, right? There's no edits or anything else on it. We're moving on to item number 5, which is public comment. Melly, can you pull the script up so that way I could read it? Because we want to make sure that just in case somebody wasn't here for the 1,000 meetings that we've had, the script is read. The rules for public comment, the Mayor and City Council invite and welcome comments of the public meeting. our public hearing in this case, what's it called? Public meeting or public hearings. The mayor or presiding officer will recognize you. Please introduce yourself first and last name for recording purposes and give the name of your street and block number, i.e. 4300 block of 34th Street. Please indicate in the chat whether you would like the mayor to read your comment or you will speak on your comment. Melly, we need to add on this line that says like you can only choose one or the other, okay? Public comment has a time limit of 3 minutes per speaker, otherwise agree upon the mayor. While speaking, please maintain a courteous tone and avoid personal attacks. If you wish to lodge a complaint about performance or conduct of any city employee, please bring your concerns attention to the city manager, who will look into the matter and respond to you. As a courtesy to the residents and business, the council requests the speakers not to use specific addresses or names of individuals when describing a situation or making a complaint. Noting the block is preferred over specific address. So I will note this again. Please make sure if you have any complaint, address it to our city manager. City manager at MrTV.org. That's Mr. Kamali. And that's on it. So also when public speaking, please make sure you do that. We want to be respectful and making sure that if you have a complaint, it is addressed to our city manager and not through the virtual hearing. So can you put the agenda up, Melly, please? Okay. So public comment, please make sure it is addressed because this is the discussion on fiscal year budget 2026. That's where the public comments will be gearing to. So it's not a catch-all public comment on this one. It's regarding the budget itself. Okay. All right. So I am opening the public comment. Let me know through the chat. Name, last name, block, and ID. And I already read the whole entire rules. In the meantime, Jared, is there any comments on Facebook? Okay. So I'm going to wait just a little bit in order to make sure in case somebody's like rushing to type their name and add their information, to the chat. Okay. I don't see no one rushing to type their name to the chat neither. All right. So, okay, I'm going to wait for 8:15, and once 8:15 hits, I will close public comment, okay? In the meantime, thank you to everybody that's joined us, either today or whenever you're viewing this. We definitely appreciate you guys following through. Budget Star Wars are fun thing, but definitely gives the staff a leeway of what are not just the priorities of like mayor and council in the community, but also like a roadmap of what they're going to be doing more or less this year. So a big thank you to our staff, who is led by Mr. Kamali, who works very hard on this budget. And I'll tell you this, that it has been very smooth ever since they've done the audits and they have taken over. Luke could tell you how it was very, very complicated and arduous in previous years. So for us to have a distinction of one item where we were trying to just fine tune how to do it, or even getting to vote this early is usually not the norm, but it has become the norm. So this will be at least the second full year on us doing that. All right, so it is 8:15. I will be closing at this point, the public comments. All right, and moving on to item number 6. And a reminder, on Tuesday at 7 p.m., we are having the second budget reading. Please tune up. And council, it is a second reading, so it is a vote attached with it. So I think at this point we have reached consensus, which means the vote should go pretty quickly after they read the resolution, in order to make sure we're able to, I'm sorry, it's just a meeting, so that way at least you'll hear it, and any feedback, bring your comments, and then it'll be ready for vote on the next. Melly, when is the vote scheduled for? Mr. Kamali, whoever has it in front of you.
April 15.
You had your mic closed, Mr. Kamali. I saw you moving your lips, but you were not saying so. April 15, tax day. That is when we're gonna go ahead and vote on the budget. So the rule is like once we do the first reading, we do another one. If there's some major changes under above $20,000, we have another reading 7 days later in order to fulfill the requirements. So by April 15, we should be ready to vote. So bear with us that this month we have a little more meetings than we're accustomed to when it comes to this. But once this is done, we will go back to scheduled programming. And by next Tuesday, we will also be wrapping up the legislative season of Annapolis. Hopefully by then we have a more sustained budget that's been approved by the governor. And if there's anything that we need to like brace for, we'll be able to adjust as needed. So thank you, Mr. Kamali and the whole entire staff for putting this together. And we'll see you guys next Tuesday. So can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
It's been probably moved and second. Any discussion? Objections, abstentions, hearing none. This wonderful meeting is coming to an end at 8:18 p.m. Have a good night, everyone. And thank you so much, staff and wonderful residents for joining us. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you, Mr. Kamali. Thank you, staff.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Steph. Appreciate everyone.
Thanks, folks.
Okay. Have a good night.